Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to another thread discussion video, and today we have this thread again that has to do with developments in snowballing, war and peace, and all of that. We're going to go over the next two pages, which is 43 and 44. I'm going to link it down below, and let's get right into it. So first, we have a player asking some questions and a dev response. So the player, on a side note, reducing war declarations chance to happen less often would also be pretty welcome. I'm in favor of some long peace times, 50 days or so, but maybe some players could complain about this. So that was the player. Now the dev response is, yes, games should not be a war simulator. We should make peace times longer, reduce average wars per year, and introduce players to different activities that he can do during peacetime, like feasts or grand tournaments. And we should increase issue variety, which are quests, which some can be hard to achieve and have good awards. Yes, I agree with this completely. The problem with making war less often now is there's nothing really to do during peacetime, right? You could make the argument for quests, but if you own your own kingdom or if you're really far along in the game, quests aren't really worth your time. You can, I guess, search for lords or search for, like, let's say a wife if you don't have one. That's an activity you can do. I'm trying to think of everything else you can do. You can do some tournaments, but again, they're not really worth your time. So right now, during the game, war is like the best thing you can do. Relationships don't hold too much weight as of right now. Like, your relationship with different clans hold a little bit of weight, but there's barely anything there. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, I think we should add these first before we do anything with longer peace times, because it's gonna end up being very, very stale and boring while those peace times happen, because again, we don't have this yet. So hopefully we do get this. I don't know exactly when that would come, but I do agree. Alrighty, player says again, I would reduce the chance per decision trigger and not the clan's war support. So in this way, the player would still be able to declare new wars whenever he wants. Okay. That responds, we'll think about this. Already when the player enters a kingdom, this probability reduces. You suggest to reduce more then? No, I don't think we should. Personally, again, I don't think we should. Until these are here, and until we know that these actually are worth the time that you take to do them, then we can think about what's called making more peacetime. But for right now, unfortunately, it is somewhat a war simulator. You know what I mean? It's like a conquest simulator, kind of like that. You know what I mean? You build up, get your first fief, you're under a king, then you want to start your own kingdom, and then you want to take over the map. That's usually how most playthroughs go. That's usually the way to go. You know what I mean? There's no real advantage of just, let's say getting 2, 3, 4 fiefs and then just, being at peace with everybody. You don't really gain much. You can gain some money over time, but again, what's the point? You know what I mean? So, again, we need this. We definitely need this. And a lot more. Alrighty, so, okay, we have another player response and then another dev response. The player, not exactly. I'm suggesting to reduce the probability for new wars for everyone. I'm especially interested to see a less aggressive AI when AI versus AI is involved. Main problem with snowballing is that the player feels that he has to rush money, tier, clan, and influence in order to bring some kind of balance to the map. Or at least I feel this way. A less aggressive AI when the player is not involved would be great in my opinion. On the other hand, this could bring other issues, like some kingdoms getting ton of elite troops units while in peace. Not sure if it would be the case after the perks and troops XP nerf. If it is something easy to change in the DDLs, I could do it and run 10 tests or so with the changes to save you time. Thanks. Before he answers this, this was a problem with snowballing where you felt like you were rushed a couple patches ago, but now I'll be very honest with you, it's pretty stable. Even with the amount of wars that are going on, they're not really taking that much land, and when they do, they usually lose it to some other kingdom, and it usually evens out. So the snowballing's gotten a lot better, and trust me, you don't have to rush like you had to rush before. Because if you played the game when it first came out and for the first couple patches, you had to rush, or the Khazaits would have half the map before you even became clan tier 3. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as of a rush as of right now. You know what I mean? So, and I don't agree with less aggressive AI in my opinion. I think the AI is in an okay spot. So I don't agree with the longer peace times in general for right now. But let's see what the dev has to say. So Dev says, we have one more problem, by the way. Longer peace times means poorer clans currently. That's also true. That's a big thing that clans, get their money from is war. Because 35% of clan income is wars and 65% of clan incomes is taxes currently as average. So if the AI versus AI wars decrease, this will increase poor clans, especially if a kingdom lost half of their territory, and if they have no enemy, there will be big problems. Loot from looters do not bring that much gold. You can suggest making this ratio 20% loot and 80% taxes by increasing taxes and decreasing loots, but this can make some players unhappy. I already reduced loots a bit in 1.5.7. Maybe can reduce more later and increase taxes a bit. However, this time, still kingdoms lost territory suffer much because losing territory means lower tax income. Yes, and I don't, again, I think, in my opinion, I think we have reduced the amount of loot and the amount of gold we've gotten, and we've capped the amount of gold we can get total from like a battle too much, in my opinion. And I think we should stop doing that. In terms of, if I'm not mistaken, the most gold you can get from a big fight, regardless of how big it is 10,000, which is way too low. And if I'm fighting a 4,000 versus 4,000 battle, I know 100% there's more than 10,000 dinars that I should get from those lords when I defeat them. You know what I mean? I think it should scale. I don't think it should just be hard capped at 10k. Also, the amount of loot you can get is also at 10k. So the value of the loot you can get is stuck at 10k at most. So therefore, even the biggest battles, the most you're going to get is 20k. 10k worth of loot, which is going to sell for less at the market, and 10k dinars, which I think is meh. I don't think it's that good. You know what I mean? I understand it's probably for balance reasons and you don't want too much loot from the... I get it. But at the same time, I don't think we should keep reducing everything and keep just hard capping everything. I don't think that's a fun gameplay mechanic. You know what I mean? But maybe people do disagree. I don't mind increasing taxes a bit. I think that might be good. You know what I mean? But yeah, let's see what else we got. What is this? Can you make these numbers 1.5, 2, and 2.5 for reducing probability? What is this? Okay, so this is how you do it in the code, I'm guessing, where you can reduce kind of how much the probability for a clan, I'm guessing, to call a war is based on their clan influence. Okay, that's cool, but again, I don't think we should reduce it. But I think he's just doing it for himself to just see how it plays. And he's going to give the devs probably like a graph of how it plays. Alrighty, what else we got? So this is a player, then we have a dev response. So we go, something is weird here. I'm not seeing exactly what you have posted, maybe because our version is a bit different than ours. As you can see, I modified to pretty low values. I started using your suggested numbers, but anything changed, and I still have seen 5 new wars declared in less than 30 days, as you can check in this short video. Okay. Alright, so dev responds. So he says he changed the values that the dev stated that you can change to make it to reduce the probability, right? And it's still the same probability. This might be, if this is your only test, you might have gotten unlucky and the probability just didn't go your way. But let's see what the dev has to say. So dev says, I don't know reason. Maybe you can try disabling that line completely and you can see that it's triggered somewhere else. Okay, so we're just talking about this. I don't think there's any good informational info for us, unfortunately. Is this what he has? No, that's somebody else. Alright, let's go to the next page and see what the dev has to say. Alright, so we have a player, the same player, doing another, I guess, statement or question and a big dev response. So let's do this one and then we're going to end it off. Alrighty, so the player. I think it is one of the reasons because snowballing is worse in 1.5.7. Before this patch, the AI was able to get high tier units insanely fast due to some perks giving too much XP. Now it's been balanced, and losing factions having a harder time to get high tier units, while winning faction just keeps improving units and having elite armies. Anyway, I'm going to help you with this test, but in my case, I'm going to reduce upgrade XP cost for all troops drastically just to check if the map is more balanced at year 20. I don't think that's a problem. I think we're looking at all of this wrong, in my opinion. I don't think this is a problem. Again, it kind of makes sense, and again, the losing faction is having a harder time getting high tier troops. Yes, because they're the losing faction, so they're not going to be as powerful. And then the winning faction just keeps improving units. Yes, they're the winning faction. I think even though we want to make it as even of a playing field as possible, I don't want it to feel like regardless of how big their kingdom is, like they're still on par with like the bigger kingdoms. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, if a faction is winning, I expect them to be stronger. You know what I'm saying? If a faction is losing, I expect them to be weaker. Maybe there's some stuff you can put in place to give the weaker ones kind of, a little boost to get back up there. But I don't think we should just even the playing field where, even though I don't know how to explain it. Because the XP perk works for both the losing faction and the winning faction. It's not like the winning faction is getting better XP or anything like that. You know what I mean? But yeah. Again, see, he said he's gonna reduce upgrade. Nah, I don't know if that's the move. I don't know if we need to reduce everything. I'm just saying. I don't know. Let's see what the dev has to say. So developer, I still think if we get more samples from both 1.5.6 and 1.5.7, they will have similar results. Maybe even 1.5.7 can have better results. Currently, there are very less average snowball score difference between 0.6 and 0.7. So I stopped saying snowball is worse than 1.5.7. By the way, to prove any development's good effect, you need to make so many tests, maybe 20. Okay. For example, currently I'm making some tests on 1.5.8 with some minor financial developments plus minor campaign AI developments, including improving mercenary hiring algorithm plus settlements value calculation fix at war/peace AI. Results are 35, 39, 108, 26, 38. As you can see, even in 5 tests, I have 100 plus results. Even other 4 are balanced. So what he's talking about here is he ran tests on the 1.5.8, which is the next patch, with the improvements that we have talked about in the past. We have the minor campaign AI improvements. We have how mercenaries are hired. There's a big problem right now where clans that can't afford them are hiring them right now. How settlements are valued by AI calculations. That has been fixed. And by these results, you can see that 4 out of the 5 numbers are very low, which is good. You want a snowball score that's very, very low because that means that the kingdoms are all, kind of on an even playing field. There's still a top guy, still a bottom guy, but it's not super drastic. And then you have that one result that is super drastic. That's in the hundreds, and I think that's great. Now, hear me out. I don't want every single save that I start to just be like everybody's just, on the same playing field, this and that. I want to start some saves and some crazy stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still, even though I didn't like how the Khazaits took over the whole map every single time in my old saves in 1.1, like just when the game came out, I still want that to happen sometimes. You know what I mean? Should be a small percentage of the time, but sometimes I do want a kingdom to just roll over the map. You know what I mean? I think it's a good game mechanic. You don't want to just get rid of that completely. You still want the off chance for something wild and crazy to happen. You know what I mean? I think that makes for good gameplay, in my opinion. You don't want it to always happen, but sometimes that random effect does improve, how the game is played. All right. As I previously stated, I think having 50 average is okay, and even is fun to deal with this problem. I cannot spend more time on this issue because so many things to do. At 1.5.6, 1.5.7, I don't think snowballing is a major problem anymore. I don't think it is either. I think we're a pretty even playing field. And I think it is time to move on to, more stuff, diplomacy, alliances. There's more stuff we need to move on to, and I think snowballing is in a good place right now. Is it perfect? Is it 99.999% perfect? No. But it's very good in my opinion. I think it's way better than it used to be, and I think it's in a good place. Now, Dev continues. Increasing needed XP limits for tiers, probably lower snowball score because all kingdoms will have more low-tier troops, and all mobile party and garrison wages will reduce. And clans at kingdoms which lost territory will have financial problems, and they will defect less, so when defection reduces, snowball score also reduces. However, I want to keep troop tier distribution at an average 20%. Okay, so what he means, he wants, like, in general, parties to have 20% tier 1, 20% tier 2, 20% tier 3, and just overall like that. Okay, and I do not want to have many money inflation at game. Inflation, I said inflation. And I do not want to have money inflation at game, and I want to keep some clans having financial problems at late game, so player will find and recruit them for his kingdom. So that kind of solution will damage the distribution and create money inflation, and player won't be able to find any poor clans. So actually my first aim is not only lowering the snowball score, but also keeping gameplay fun. That's right. That's exactly what I was just talking about, you know what I mean? You need to have those random aspects. You don't want everything to just be balanced out. You need to have, like, those, like he says right here, some clans need to be poor just so it's easier for you to recruit them. It makes gameplay a little bit more fun, makes it good to find that person. I don't know if I agree exactly with this whole 20%. Obviously, that's not how they're all going to be, but that's kind of what he's aiming for, so maybe it is a good thing to aim for, where obviously your party or your army breaks down into that kind of, even split. And then he says, thank you for spending time on solving the problem. Please keep above information on mind. All right. And there it is. I do agree with it. I think we still need to keep it fun. I think there still needs to be random aspects in it. And we're going to see what 1.5.8 does bring to us. But that will do it for me. Ask me any questions, any concerns. And like always, stay safe.